Good afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Crystal Clear Weather and Madison County Weather Updates. I'm going to try to keep this short, but I always say that. But I want to address what's been going on with model data and with our winter storm and what my thoughts are on the whole subject. So everything kind of kicked off this morning with the European model. It began overnight to shift things to the south, considerably to the south, to the point that um, it barely even gives parts of Madison County any snow at all. It puts all the heavy snow down in southern Indiana and in Kentucky. And so, one of the things I start looking for as these storms get closer are things like where's the pressure for real versus where the model thinks that it should be at this point in the time. So this may be a little bit hard to see, but I just try to follow my cursor a little bit. But this is the European model. It's got a 1048 high up here in Canada, and the 1044 line is down about a quarter of the way into North Dakota. The 1040 line is most of the way through or actually 1042. 1040 line is completely down here into South Dakota and along the North Dakota South Dakota border. So we're taking what the European is doing is a couple of things, but it begins with this high pressure being stronger than it is and farther to the south than it is. So again, you look at this 1040, it's right along the North and South Dakota state line. So then we take a look back here, and again, it's going to be hard to see, but here's the 1040 line, and it's about halfway through North Dakota. So the European is about a half a state too far south just with that high pressure. So then when you look at other things, I won't run you through all of those because I don't want this video to be eternal. But you look at those, it's over amplified with that high pressure. It's kind of over amplified with the low pressure in eastern Canada. And then it really weakens the storm that's beginning to come in off of the west coast of the U.S. now. And that storm is wound pretty tight right now. The mountains will kill that off some, and then it'll drop down, to our southwest and then begin to move across. So my first thing that I look at again, the pressure in all these models that have gone south have done the same thing. They're too strong and too far south with that Canadian high pressure, which is going to be what helps push this storm to the south. So I immediately discount how far south those models are. Like I said, the Europeans at least a half a state too far south just with that high pressure. And so, regardless of what it does with the low pressure, it's already starting off. It's initializing wrong from the beginning. Not a ton off, but a half a state is quite a bit when it comes to an event like this. So, my first thing that I say is what I always say, and that is don't live and die by these models. When the models change, that doesn't mean the storm changed. It means the model's understanding of the storm has changed. And that's really the storm will come on shore this evening. New data will get put into the models from the storm itself in the overnight hours. So by the time we're getting into not the pre-dawn hours of the morning, but by the time the runs start to come out, what here will be late afternoon tomorrow, then they'll have a lot better understanding. They should come into a lot better consensus, although they've been in really good consensus all week until today. But by tomorrow, model data should somewhat start to align with each other. You're always going to have some outliers. But my first thing is I'm not buying the shift way to the south. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But based on what I'm seeing right now in real data versus what the model data says, I'm not inclined to change anything just yet. So here's a look at the watches and warnings across the U.S. because as I don't know if you saw it pop up on the College of DuPage site or not, but new winter storm warnings now have just popped up across much of northern Missouri and get into southwestern and western Illinois. I do believe that these warnings are going to extend across. Madison County will be right on a border. I expect Madison County will go under a winter weather advisory, not a winter storm warning, but we're really close on that. It just depends on what the National Weather Service makes of the data as it comes across. So I'm not going to show you a bunch of model data. The model data, I think, has served to confuse a lot of people, again, with the radical shifts. But as we're getting into high resolution model range, here's the NAM 3K, and you can see it keeps the snow band up here, and it does erase a lot of the snow in northern Indiana through 60 hours. I do believe that as we get farther into Monday, because this only goes till 1 a.m. on Monday. So I believe during the day, northern Indiana will get in on some action, but I'm not really forecasting for up there in this video. But across Madison County, you can see it. You can see in central Indiana, really along this I-70 corridor between I-74, I-70, and then once you get to Indianapolis, along the I-70 corridor. The NAM 3K still keeps the heavy snow up here. I believe it's the Icon that's still relatively up here. The GFS is up here. Then the European has shifted way south. The UK Met went way south. The Canadian went south a little bit. So I don't see any real reason to change what I'm thinking right now. Again, you can see the first high resolution model to really pick this up. It still keeps the snow coming across here. I will show you two things with model data. This is the National Weather Service NDFD model. This is, again, covering most of the duration of the storm. But this goes through about 7 a.m. on Monday. And you can see it still continues to have the heaviest snow, kind of where the NAM 3K is, kind of in the same territory. It gives Anderson 8 inches, Muncie 7 inches, and then it cuts off kind of to the north. So I think this model will weigh heavily on what the National Weather Service does. So, if it doesn't start to change a lot, I don't think the National Weather Service is going to change a lot. So then here is the National Weather Service blend of models. And so again, it still keeps the snow right across the same corridor, kind of north and south, mostly just south of I-70, and then a little bit of the heavy snow to the north. So this is all just model data, but these particular ones I think are still relatively in line with what I think is going to happen. I have been entertained that all this is happening though, because I took some grief across different platforms and in my direct messages when I first put out just that little generic county map a couple of days ago, and I had the majority of the heavy snow along I-70 and to the south, and I was told that I was a couple of counties too far south with it. I was too light with it because I only had us, I think, in a 4 to 7 inch snow, here across Madison County. I was too light with it, and now I said then, and I said in my video yesterday, whatever these models are cranking out when the storm's still out, well out off of the coast, you can about take 25% off of those right off the bat, because they're always over amplified until they start to pick up, get some samples of the energy from the storm itself, and they begin to understand what's going on. So with all that said, this was my forecast, and I don't really see any reason to change it. I've kind of got Madison County kind of split between the 3 to 6 and 6 to 10. So again, what I think for Madison County is 4 or 5 inches in northern Madison County, and then 5 to 6, maybe 7 inches in southern Madison County. So that's where I am right now. I'm not really going to change anything. Again, tomorrow, if things look different, once the storm's well on shore, all the dynamics are set up well, it's all been fully sampled, we got good balloon data out of the thing. If things look different, then I'll make a change. But right now, I'd say if you love snow, don't go jumping off the cliff yet. If you hate snow, don't go jumping off the cliff yet. Because if you hate snow, you might get your wish and this might actually go south. And if you love snow, you might get your wish and this may stay where it looks like it's going to me. So again, we do have a winter storm watch in effect for Sunday. I would expect a warning. The way things are going right now, they probably won't issue the warning until overnight or maybe even tomorrow morning. But because I think the way things are going, the National Weather Service is going to want a little more information before NWS issues a warning. It's been over 709 days since the NWS has issued a winter storm warning. So we're well over 2 years without, or we're getting close to 2 years without a winter storm warning. So we're due, but we'll see how that all goes. Last thing I'm going to do is, I think I have it in this slide. Well, I'll just give you a real quick look at the 7-day forecast that'll be coming out here shortly. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast that'll be coming out shortly. And we're going to be cold tonight, lows in the lower teens. We'll probably only get in the mid 20s tomorrow. And then we're going to be watching this Monday system. Again, I've for days have been in the 3 to 6, 4 to 7 range for Madison County. And that's where I'm staying at this point. Again, maybe I'll have to change it tomorrow. But I am just interested in the fact that I was told I was too far north and too light, and it could turn out that I was too far south, and even I was too heavy, and I was going below everybody and farther south than almost everybody. So that kind of weather will always do what it wants to do, and all we're doing is trying to figure it out. At any rate, so we'll watch that winter storm Sunday into Monday. In my opinion, it's still on track. Then behind that storm, regardless of where the snow goes, we're going to get much colder. And if that snow goes farther to the south, these temperatures for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday may actually be too warm in this forecast. That's another reason if you don't want that snow to go too far south, because these temperatures will be colder, because that'll mean that the high pressure has dug deeper than what we thought. But it's going to be cold regardless in the middle week. And we'll start to rebound a little bit, next week. But I don't think we're going to have a real warm shot until maybe around January 20th or so, and even it won't last very long. But we won't deal too far down the road, because right now we're having trouble just getting a focus on what's going to happen in a little over 48 hours. So this is Micah Mitchell with Crystal Clear Weather and Madison County Weather Updates. And we'll see how this shakes out, and I'll update you if anything changes in my mind. Have a great evening. Oh, and if you support this page financially, thank you so much. If you don't and you can, please do so. Personal donations are like half of what they were just a few months ago, which as economy is, I can totally understand why. But please support the page if you can, and have a great weekend, and we'll see how this winter storm goes.